Hello and welcome, Aries, to Eye of the Centaur, the 2024 spring reading from Planet Waves. I'm Eric Francis Coppolino, your friendly neighborhood astrologer, here with a basic rundown and a few details explaining to you the relevance of what it means to have this kind of an event right in your sign or rising sign, or right on or near your moon. Look at that. This kind of thing doesn't happen very often, and it is not just a collection of planets. That happens often enough. Every 10 or 15 years or something, there's like a big concentration like this. But when you put together all these planets with a total eclipse of the sun, and then you add to that Chiron, the planet of the outlier, of the outsider, of the maverick, the planet that's also associated with the holistic principle, the seeking of the whole in Aries. What we have for you, especially, but for everyone on some level, but especially for you, is a bold adventure and journey of seeking of that which is whole about yourself, a quest of completion, which is accelerating rapidly at this time. Astrology is always a quest for completion. There's always this sense of adventure about what is my purpose now, unless, of course, you're in some kind of a downward Chiron spiral, and in which case it's helpful to get a sense of the history and extract yourself from that and find out what is going on there. But let's just say this is a time when Chiron is very active in your life, and that's not always, but there are times when it's especially active, and that has a way of intensifying matters. That brings you closer to the central essence of crux point, crisis, drama, necessity of your life, and is likely to set you on some kind of a quest for healing, which in the style of Chiron almost always has a resonance with the idea of wholeness or whole making. Now, to step back one moment, the idea of Aries in astrology is where you are the most likely to seek your whole sense of being all by itself, with or without Chiron. It's a place of very high initiative, and it describes the location of Aries in any chart, describes where you are likely to take the most initiative in your life and essentially find yourself, look for who you are, and where the activities of that house become a lifelong quest. So a lot of what you're going to see in this series is me moving Aries through the astrological wheel and examining what happens when not only Aries is located somewhere, but when there is an unusual amount of activity in Aries. And there is definitely an unusual amount of activity in Aries. And for you, this is just describing a time when many things may be coming to a head for you, when you may be deciding that this is your now or never moment, or this is your I've waited long enough moment, or I know that I've been hesitating and now is the time to not hesitate. And I know things have been holding me back, but now is the time to no longer let those things hold me back. There's the question of who am I? And now is the time to answer that question rather than just let that question kind of linger around waiting for an answer. Going back a little ways, say, for example, a century, and to 2018, there are two factors that have really been defining Aries. One is the presence of Eris. Eris, gotta say it that way. Eris, discovered in 2003, no, 2004, something like that, early 2000s. Declared a dwarf planet in the summer of 2006. Pluto getting demoted to minor planet 134340 Pluto, and causing a big fuss. We didn't know this thing even existed, and then we found out that it existed. And its original name was Xena, the warrior princess. Xena. Mike Brown and team, Chad Trujillo and Dave Rabinowitz, who discovered it, gave it a provisional name, Xena. And it was from this provisional name that somebody named Paloma Todd helped me figure out what was going on with this influence. And she has more scholarly training than I do. And so she pointed out to me, well, the structure of the story of Xena, the warrior princess, from episode to episode is completely fragmented. She can be in Bethlehem one week and then modern day New York City the next week and then Moscow the next week. And so that there was that lack of continuity, but the central figure remaining similar, that gave us our first clue that Eris was a kind of a postmodern presence. Later, which is about radical discontinuity and also about the fragmenting of who we are, and that fragmenting has become exceedingly powerful under the influence of digital conditions, where, for example, people might have 10 different handles. That's less of an issue now, but using your real name is popular some places. I think Facebook started to bring people into using their real name, one thing we can thank them for. But we still live these fragmentary experiences because we are shot through so many different prisms in the digital environment. And I mean, don't you long for the simple times of email and web? And if you make content, not having to update 50 things, just saying. Okay, so, but if you trace this back in media history, you end up with understanding that Eris is about the dawn of mass communication, in particular electrical mass communication, in particular radio, and in particular the de-individuation of people and the making of electrical tribal humanity. And so for as long as you've been alive, there has been this de-tribalizing, de-individuating, synthetically tribalizing influence running through Aries, the very sign of individuality. And we see this process in the formation of the global village in radio, and then bring that head. Looking at the telephone, you find very similar phenomenon with party lines. Then you bring it into the digital age, and essentially people are living in their little global villages. And we're also kind of always sitting on potentially on this portal where anything you say could suddenly become a worldwide phenomenon, and you too can have 15 minutes of world viral fame. But there must be contained in Eris a whole seeking quality, the impulse, the impetus, the need, the awakened inspiration to bring yourself back together from all of these, what I originally called in my first foray into Eris, facets and fragments of self. And now I'm going to officially, on last week's notes for Planet Waves FM, start a list of resources that this publication needs. Of the Centaur pencil EOC resources, and first is fragments. And I was so out of tune with this thing called postmodernism, I had to engage the assistance of a philosophy professor named Richard Tarnas to help me understand and properly contextualize postmodernism. And postmodernism is another word for fragmentation,